Welcome to the Photocall for a film entitled A Gentle Creature. It's directed by Sergei Loznitsa. He has come to Cannes to present this latest feature film, and it stars Vasilina Makovtseva. She's the main leading lady, who you can see wearing white, and she plays the role of this gentle creature in the film. And also for the Photocall we have Sergei Loznitsa, of course, the director. We also have Valeriu, the male actor, who plays one of the characters that the gentle creature meets on her travels. This film is a portrait of Russia and the Russian people. In some ways, is it true to reality? Well, it's the Russians who have the right to answer that question, but the Russians will be taking a close look at the film, I'm sure. Sergei Loznitsa is from Belarus, and he spent some years of his life in the Ukraine. He has not been back to Russia for 3 years. He's hugely impacted by the current war between Ukraine and Russia. He shot this film in Latvia, where 90% of the population is Russian, and there are still these monumental prisons which date back to the Soviet days. This film tells us the story of a chaotic, painful experience of a young woman played by Vasilina Makovtseva. It's her first role on the big screen. She's a theatre actress, and her husband is in prison. She'd sent him a parcel, but the parcel comes back to her, and she wants to know why. So she sets off to the prison. It's a huge fortress where her husband is imprisoned, and no one will give her an answer. They refuse to accept her parcel and plunge her into a Kafkaesque Russian hell, an administrative hell, a police hell. The whole population seems to be lost or corrupted. She gets involved with the mafia, and she's shunted from one place to the next. But she remains so passive throughout. No emotions are registered on her face throughout the whole film. This film is quite astounding and worrying about what it describes in Russia. The camera work by Sergei Loznitsa is absolutely impressive. But we are plunged into a nightmare, all of these chaotic things going on around this woman. And Sergei Loznitsa, who is also a documentary maker, he has dressed an inventory, a snapshot of what's going on in Russia today. He's rather pessimistic about the history of Russia and the Russian people. The story of culture in Russia. We're not sure whether his film will be screened in Russia, although he did make it for the Russian people. So Vasilina Makovtseva is on screen. She is a theatre actress. This is her first feature film. She has played major roles in A Tramway Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. She played in Shakespeare plays, Richard III, for example, and Chekhov plays as well. And she was Ophelia in Hamlet. On the screen now, you can see one of the actors in the film. He plays the role of a lost man who he's a poet in a kind of orgy, which this gentle creature encounters on her search for her husband, and his name is Valeriu Andriuta. He's already got a track record in film. He worked on the film Baccalaureate by Cristian Mungiu. He's been in a couple of Mungiu films, in fact.
Il a étudié également à Bucarest.
He studied in Bucharest.
La réalisation.
He studied film directing in Bucharest. His name is Valeriu Andriuta.
Un des acteurs fétiches de Cristian Mungiu.
One of Mungiu's favorite actors.
Et voilà donc Sergei Loznitsa.
So here we have Sergei Loznitsa.
Réalisateur intense.
A very intense film director, and he's brought us here a very, very intense film, a portrait of a people.
Vu avec son regard sans concession.
Through his eyes, his view of a people that is in a terrible economic and moral marasma, and an intellectual marasma also. There's a hint of nostalgia for Russian culture which no longer seems to exist.
Sergei Loznitsa, donc je vous le disais, il était
Sergei Loznitsa came to Cannes with his film In Competition in 2012, and the film was called In the Fog.
Il avait également présenté My Joy.
He also screened a film called My Joy in 2010.
Il était venu en séance spéciale avec un de ses documentaires qu'il a réalisé.
And then he came with one of his documentaries in a special screening. That was the documentary Maidan, about Maidan Square in the Ukraine.
Il a participé à l'œuvre collective.
And he also participated in the collective work called Bridges of Sarajevo in 2014. That was another documentary.
On lui doit aussi le documentaire Austerlitz.
He also produced